Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our September 10th Commission on Disabilities meeting. If we can do the Pledge of Allegiance, it's greatly appreciated. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chair Perno, if you could do a roll call of the members.
Certainly. So Ralph DeChico.
Okay.
Pauline Perno is here. Mario Gramatis.
Present.
Jason Barone.
Present.
Ellie Vargas.
No.
And Anne Marie.
Present.
Okay. Everyone is present. If Ellie comes in, I will let you know if I see her trying to get in.
Okay.
Item number one is someone makes a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the August 13th meeting. I sent the meeting minutes out to everyone ahead of time.
Motion to approve.
Issues something.
Second.
Let me know.
Yep.
Who had? I guess there was no errors with that.
All good.
Mario, did you make the motion, and Jason, was it you that seconded it?
Yes.
Yep.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. On here, I'm going to take something out of order because when I put it up, it was incorrectly done. I'm going to go to item number 3, which should have been item number 2. We have Karen. Is it Cage? Is that how it's pronounced? I don't want to pronounce Gage, who is the CEO and founder a Kivakit, is graciously joining us. She's going to give us a little presentation. So Anne Marie had reached out to her to see if she would join us for one of our Commission of Disabilities meeting. So I believe you should have the ability to share your screen, and I'll let you introduce yourself and take it from there. Joining us.
Okay, great. Well, great to see everybody. Thanks for inviting me to come talk with you. I'm gonna take a second, make sure I'm sharing my screen properly. I'm gonna do, let's see, Chrome, whole window, the whole desktop. I will share, and then I will pop over here and put up my slideshow. So instead of seeing my messy desktop, are you seeing a slide now?
Coming through perfect.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Anne Marie, for reaching out. I am a parent of a child with learning disabilities and ADHD, and I'm also somebody who's had a career in education technology. And I was thinking about these two tracks very separately until one day I saw all of these interesting new announcements from companies creating like AI tutors and AI teaching assistants. And I thought, why couldn't we use that type of technology to help parents navigate special education? And that was kind of like the start of my thinking about Kidvakit, and it kind of came from this place of it's a very, like, you go in as not an expert about education, about special education, about how any of this works. You just know, like, you're trying to help your kid and be successful in school. And it seems like from the parents I talked to, like a pretty universal, feeling of like, I don't really know how this works. I don't really know procedures. And, 5-6 years later, maybe I've figured a lot of it out, but I still don't feel that confident about it. And that really, no one has 5 or 6 years to wait to kind of feel like they've got a handle on how to work effectively with the school to advocate for their kids. And the reality is, like, schools, they don't really have time to educate parents about how it all works. They barely have time to actually do the work with the kids. And these are very, private concerns, and people don't usually ever see like an individual education plan from like another child, right? They're private, they're not able to be shared by schools. Parents don't do that. So no one really knows like how it works very well or what other people have on their IEPs or what they could ask for. And so you either just like spend a lot of time researching and talking to other parents or joining CPAC, which is helpful. Or you hire people to advise you, try professional advocates. But there's not, there's not a lot of options. So my thought, and we've already built some of this out, was that technology could help parents as they're going through this process, right? This idea of like a virtual or digital IEP assistant. And this like the numbers and the cycle that's on the outside of this is really the process that everybody goes through with special education, like at least once a year. And there's a lot of knowledge that's involved in being able to navigate all of those effectively and be able to really like advocate effectively. So there's the issue of like procedurally, how does it work? How do you claim your rights as a parent? There's the reality that it is a legal process and there is a documentation and paper trail component to it. There is like the monitoring of the progress and how is it going. There's the reviewing of the actual IEP and the content of the IEP, and then assessing like, okay, now where is my kid? And do we need to, go through the cycle again and again? So, in my mind, there was an advocacy toolkit that was digital because that could be really personalized. I think that there's a lot of great content that's out online if you know what you're looking for. But it's very general, usually. Some of it's not even specific to the state that you're in, right? And the idea of doing this using your own documents and the ability to use technology to personalize it would really make it much more like efficient, like much quicker to get the answer that you need, or to keep track of the things that you need for the moment that you need them. It's usually pretty acute and it can be difficult to like go find someone that can help you at the exact moment that you need to do something. So this was kind of the inspiration for the product. And if I have time, I'll leave the slides and do a little demo. But I'll just start by saying like that advocacy toolkit has like 4 items in it. We have 2 of those that are now a version of it's available. We just started building it last November. So we have the first pieces of that available now. And one is a chatbot that answers questions about parental rights, Massachusetts special education procedures, and it's geared towards kinds of questions that parents might have. There's a lot of terminology that's hard to understand, and I'll show you a little bit more about it. The other piece is like an automated IEP binder. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the idea of an IEP binder, but like sometimes you see parents have these huge physical binders that they've like been keeping track of all the reports that come in from school. And, it takes a lot of work to actually create that and maintain it. And now that many schools have switched over to like delivering the documents all digitally, there's a way that we can use technology to kind of automatically maintain that and organize it. So just to kind of say a little bit more about the question, the chat this is really based on documents from DESE, in part, about like what are the Massachusetts procedural elements, like the procedural safeguards and other components that are, as well as some of the other statements that they make, like policy statements around dyslexia guidelines, or what's the policies around bullying or around restraint, and then as well as more general questions that have to do with like services and accommodations and the differences between IEPs and 504s, and but also bringing forward like the specifics of, you know, you have this many days before the school needs to do this if you do that, or can give you suggestions about how to do all of that work. So I will show that to you if we have time. And then just to clarify, like these are topics, we have prompts, or we have different like suggested questions underneath these topics that you might want to ask. And then you can also just put in your own question and ask. So even if it's not something that's already been anticipated. And then this is the automated IEP binder. So like a very large percentage of people, I'll just say, specifically parents, use Gmail and get a lot of their information from school. And so the idea of like being able to hook it up to your Gmail, pull out all the things from the people who communicate with you about your kids' special needs, supporting them both like in school or therapists out of school or neuropsychologist or whoever you work with or tutor. And then being able to automatically take any reports or documents that they're emailing you and keep track of it and put it all on a timeline, automatically categorize it. And then it's there to be shared with, if you're using an advisor or you just need to keep track of all your records and be able to see what's happened when, not like hope it's still sitting in your email account like 9 months later, and that you're going to be able to pull up the relevant piece of information. So this is also designed so that if you are a special ed, like a professional advocate for special education, that you can have parents work with you, share their documents with you through this platform, rather than needing to do it manually. Because usually the first thing an advocate does is a records review in order to start working with clients. And then, you know, clients are paying for those hours of manual organization before they can even get into it. So this can be used independently by parents, or it can be used in collaboration with a professional advocate. So I am going to show you this briefly, and then I'm going to come back and hit this last slide. But I'll just pause for a second in case there are questions, but while I'm flipping over to get to the demo. Okay, let me switch over and go to here. Okay, so this is my personal account on Kidvocate. I'm not showing signing in because that's not very interesting. You just sign in with your Gmail. But I'm going to show you kind of how this was created. I mentioned that you kind of, when you set it up, you tell the system who are the people. So if we go to my profile, you can have different paper trails for different children. If you've got more than one child on an IEP, you can set up separate components for them. And then, so in this case, I only have one child, but I put my dog in there too, just so that you could see the two different. And you can add a co-parent so that you're kind of sharing the information. Often there's like one parent who has 95% of the stuff, and the other parent has just like a little bit of things that the other parent doesn't have, and kind of keeping it all together automatically is a nice way to do it. And then in this case, these are the people who have sent me most of the information. So when I created my account, I said, oh, these are the people that I want to keep track of their communications with me. And you're going to automatically pull like the history of my communication with those people from my Gmail. And then on an ongoing basis, it'll check like every night, is there something new? So if we go back to my paper trail, you see that there are these categories here. And so what's happened is the application has pulled in these items. You can see a bunch of these are email, and then here's a document. So this was an attachment, and the system took this off of the email that it came in from. It created a new label. This was originally called the 3-column report, which doesn't really mean anything to me. I don't know what that is exactly, but that's what the school called it. And it probably had a file name like my kid's name. Anyhow, and it goes into the document and pulls out the dates as well. So it uses that information that it sees in the document to automatically categorize it. So it's identified that this is a progress report. If I wanted to change that, if I didn't like it, I could change it. But it kind of does that work for you so that you're not going in and manually needing to put everything where it belongs. And here I can just say, oh, I only want to see my IEP documents that have come from the school, and they're all listed here. And I can go back into my history and see, oh, I had an amendment and I rejected a placement and I got a meeting invitation. So you can kind of see the history of the official IEP process.
One question.
Yeah.
Does it pull that information from the subject line and know where to put it, or how does it differentiate what folder to
It's actually, yeah, it's actually looking at the document itself. So it's looking, it's actually reading the PDF and determining what it is.
Oh, okay. Is there a percentage of error or accuracy on how correct it is, or is it ever incorrect, or is there like a plus minus that it always finds the correct folder to put it into? She may have froze.
Yeah.
Oh. We lost her for a second. So hold on momentarily. She probably signed back in. There you are.
I'm sorry about that. I think
That's okay.
a little internet blip there.
Yeah. I was just wondering how accurate it is to determine when it reads a document. Is it pretty accurate?
It's pretty accurate.
Try to shut your camera off for a minute. It's breaking up on you.
You don't evaluation because they
Yeah, Karen, you're breaking in and out. It wasn't just on my end, right?
I see you. Do you
Yep.
hear me?
Yes.
I really apologize. So let's hope for the best
Okay.
with the internet. So if I had wanted to change that, I could change it. But generally, I don't
You
find
have
that.
to reshare your screen.
Okay, let me go back. Here we are, share.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll move the heads so I can see you guys better. Great. So if there's something that comes to me and it's not something that's put in as an attachment, I can always just upload those items because sometimes there are other things, or someone that I don't want to sync because they send me a lot of other things, but occasionally there's something, I could just forward it here. So there are other ways to get in items that don't happen to come as part of your Gmail sync. And then there's ways you can also share. So if you decide to work with an advisor or an attorney, there are some specific ways that you, if they were also using KidVicket, that you could link your accounts. But in this case, let's say there's somebody else, you can share it via URL if you wanted someone to see the whole paper trail, or if you just want them to see one particular item, you can do that as well. I'll just quickly flip over since I think we're about to run out of time and say that this is the chat bot that I was showing on the slide. And you can see here that I click on a topic. It gives me a few suggestions of questions that I could ask the chat bot, but I can also just write my own in here. So if, for example, I wasn't really sure about what progress data might be possible to get from schools, and I wanted some more information about that, I can just click that question. And it's going to give me an answer related to that. And then if I have follow-up questions, it already knows, it remembers that I've asked this question. And then it will often like prompt me, like, do you have a more specific question about this? Or do you have concerns about something you've seen? Like now you can ask about how I might interpret them. So you can then just type in, yes, more about how to interpret. And you don't have to have perfect English, or you can also actually ask it to respond to you in Spanish or another language. So that folks who are not native English speakers have other options. You just have to ask it in Spanish, please. And then it will respond to you in decent Spanish, probably not in perfect Spanish, but and this is leveraging some of the core capabilities of these AI platforms that's driving this. And we kind of built the layer on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you a little bit of a flavor about this. It also will, keep history about when you've done your chats. And so if you want to refer back to something later, you can.
Okay.
So I'll just try to switch back over to my slides for a second, because I know that we are about time for your next item on your agenda. And just say that I think, everybody involved in advocacy related to special education is aware that there's a new IEP form that's rolling out in schools this year. And most districts are doing trainings, and there are other like advocacy groups that are giving trainings about the new IEP. And we just created this little tool that sits separately from the main application. Anyone can use it for free. That will take like a current IEP and essentially transform it into the new form so that parents don't have to waste their IEP meeting time like learning about it, or how does this compare to my old one. And so it's just a way to kind of see it in a more personalized way. It actually takes the information from your current IEP and like relays it out for you so that you can see it and use that as the basis for kind of when you go into your next IEP meeting. And that could be used by, by anyone that wants to access it. So that's just like a nice way to kind of speed up the learning, which is kind of the goal, right? Like we want to empower parents to feel like they understand it and they are empowered to be there advocating, and just to make that process of learning that stuff like much easier and less work. So that's that's Kidvicate.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to open it up to the members that may have some questions.
Great.
Yeah, I'd like to see what I'd like to see, and I don't know if they've thought about tying in some of the federal things, because, for example, the transportation side that's included, that's not state-based, that's federal-based. So they wonder if some of the IEP things might want to be, because you might be traveling to another state, and some people don't realize that things are state-based, but some things are federally based as well for IEPs, because they're not all one rule. Most people don't realize that. So that's why you want to download things from the federal side and the state side for each state. But it's also a matter of educating. Sometimes I know one student at the school that I attended, the family actually had to sue the school district in Virginia at one point. They were paying for the school out of pocket. Person was attending Perkins, and that's very expensive.
Yeah.
And that person needed a lot of care. So it wasn't like cheap. And a lot of staff had to travel to defend that. So I'm just suggesting that they might want to pull some of that in to help, so that people aren't just looking everywhere, because some things are not based on the state. Some of the things are federally based and they tie into each other. And one may be stronger than the other. So just another tip that it looks good. It just would be helpful, I think.
There is some information that comes from IDEA that's also in there, but I think it's a very good point that you're making about that. It is really the combination of the two together, and like making sure that people understand that. That's a good point.
Oh, especially in the present climate. I mean, we don't know where things are headed. And the last time that particular section got removed from the website, you couldn't find it. That's why I'm making that statement also. So we don't know. And I'm it's this is a difficult sector for most folks to be looking at, because unless you've been through that in some form or fashion, my mom was lucky because the school district had already anticipated she was going to bring up transportation, for example. So, but that's because my mom asked a lot of questions and reads. So they probably already were thinking, but it's also a matter whether a district is smart enough to figure that out. And some of them are not. And it's just unfortunate, but it is the truth. You have to be your own looking for it. So just something that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Jason. Anyone else?
Thank you, Karen, for joining us. It's nice to meet you finally. And thank you for the work that you're doing. I think I just had a couple of questions regarding, from what I understand, it was kind of in a trial phase. Is that correct? So a certain number of parents were in a trial phase with it. Is that trial ended, or is it still in phase?
So yeah, we had some parents who were trying it out in the spring with us. And we still have open we still have free access available, which is probably going to keep going for like a couple months. And then once we've kind of gotten a little like further down the pike, then we'll be, there will be a fee for the application. But our plan is for that to be less than $10 a month. So kind of like an app kind of fee.
And so far, have they been finding it user friendly?
Yeah, people have said it's really easy. And I think, they're kind of surprised by how effective it is. But it's definitely like something you don't use every day, right? Because it's like you kind of use it for when you have an upcoming something. Like I have an IEP meeting in a few weeks and I have to figure out this issue before I go. And so a lot of people use it like I'm preparing for my IEP meeting, I'm setting this all up. And then once whatever your kind of more intensive interactions with the school district are like die down a little bit, it'll still keep track of like all your documents and the comings and goings, but you might not need to like go back and use it for like a few months if things are going smoothly. If things are not going smoothly, you're going to be using it more often, of course, but anyway, it gets people the answers very quickly. But there's a little moment of like, this isn't a person. So like, can I trust this answer? Right. I think is like the biggest hurdle that it's a new kind of technology. And so I think people just have more of a learning curve just about like what it's good to use it for. Like for a really complex thing where you need an expert advice, like you still want to go see somebody who, can strategize with you. But it's great for like the easy to medium stuff. Or like more basic. Sorry.
It seems so, yeah. And is there tech support if parents needed it?
Yeah, we have email tech support, so people can email in if they're having problems. And there's also a little like widget kind of thing in the app where if you want to give feedback, you can let us know about something that's broken, God forbid, or something that you really love, whatever. We're definitely very actively seeking feedback from parents right now. And we just made this new like dashboard for professional advocates available as well.
Oh, very nice. I did reach out to Revere CPAC. I don't know if anybody was available, but at least I hope to put it on their radar. So hopefully it will at least be on their radar and they'll be aware of it.
Yeah, I sent it to CPAC and I also sent it to the director of special education that she was going to be there. So I did let them know and I sent them the link to the website.
Same.
Okay, great. Well, I think I sent you the PDF of the slides and of a kind of like how it works document. So you can also feel free to share those with your members or with those folks as well.
Sure. Thank you. Anyone, other members have any questions?
I just have a quick thought or question. Karen, it's wonderful work that you're doing. Having been a nurse that attended a lot of IEP meetings in the past, you really put a lot of heart and soul into this, and that's wonderful. How do people find you? How do people tap into this particular venue so that they can start utilizing the advocate for themselves, for their children or for their child or whomever? How do they find you? How do you advertise, or is it through special ed sites, or how do you get that word?
Starting to do those things. We haven't done a lot of it yet. We have a Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn page, and you can sign up directly from the website. And we're starting to like reach out to CPACs to kind of let them know that we exist. but we're kind of just in the very, very early days. So if you have suggestions about how to let people know, like, I'm all ears.
If I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, great.
Well, I would suggest maybe, reaching out to, the Mass Commission for the Blind, for example, Mass Rehab. Those folks would typically, be part of that process as well. So just something that might be a good sector to put that in, and then Mass Office on Disability as well, because they all tie in some form or fashion.
Yeah,
So just something that might help, and maybe particular word somehow on the news just a bit, maybe.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know if they're willing to do a human interest story, but I think it's worth a shot.
yeah. I was talking to a reporter at the Boston Globe, and
That's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, but I meant TV part, just so that,
yeah,
because it can reach so many people. And maybe WBZ might want to do a spot on it, on the radio or something like that
yeah,
too. Just
yeah.
some little things that I was thinking of that might get the word out a bit better.
The only
Yeah.
Jason, the only thing with the Mass Office of Disabilities, they're more towards education on the college end,
Yep.
not the high school end and the
Nope.
elementary end.
Nope.
So they'll basically refer, as you said, to Perkins for the blind and things like that.
No, I got you. But I'm figuring every resource there is for
Yeah.
access, including at the college level, there are still rights that people at college levels are entitled to.
Yeah, yeah,
And they are not aware of what they're entitled to. So it would help,
right.
so that there's any little piece that this can still be used to kind of make your arguments to a school, because colleges don't think that students have rights that are disabled, but they do.
Right.
Yeah.
Just thinking on all ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the whole transition services thing is getting a lot more
And the independent living centers is another place you may want to reach out to.
Yep.
Great.
Any other questions? Well, I wanted to thank you again, Karen. This is a great endeavor that you've taken on. But one last question: how long have you been working on this?
Well, I was doing research this time last year, but we didn't start like actually building the tools until November. Like this time last year, we were, trying to think about what features would we want to build and how would it work and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the first school year that we're really like starting the school year with something to tell people about.
Mhm.
So.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for joining us. And I have like you said, you had sent me the slides in the PDF. So if anyone, they can reach out to the Commission on Disabilities, and I would be able to forward that information to them. If any members want that, I can forward that to you also.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation and the kind words and suggestions. I appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Evening.
You're more than welcome to stay or leave for the rest of our meeting. But we appreciate you joining us.
Okay. Thank you so much. I gotta go cook dinner for my kid. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to go back to item number 2, was updates and next steps from the August 13th meeting. The first part for that was any updates from Polly and Anne Marie regarding the calendar for future monthly guest speakers. I'm not sure if we have anybody on the horizon. I didn't know if you had anybody planned, but if not, Pauline, the next event. I know you were at the event that we held on the Saturday. If you had gotten the contact information from the Universal Access Group.
I did.
Okay, they're more than willing to join one of our meetings if somebody wants to reach out to them.
I was rereading that because I was interested to see that they haven't yet listed the Eastern stuff, but I was going to reach back out because I do have a business card from one of the women I was standing in the water with, which was great, by the way. So I was going to reach out to them.
That's Rachel. That was Rachel Lee.
Yeah. See if they would be interested in doing a little segment. I am waiting on 2 emails back from PACE
Okay.
program,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
and it's an organization that just does kind of it's not really out there. It's more or less a person who's kind of weeding their way through like the helping and the assisting and that sort of thing. It's not an agency, so I'm waiting to hear back from them, only because I have a friend who does. It's not home care. It's more like a companion slash buddy slash help when needed, but it's not on a nursing level. It's on a personal level.
Personal assistant level or.
Yeah, but it's not through an agency. And I'm interested because I'm finding more and more of these people are cropping up. And so I sent one of them a message just out of curiosity, but the more information I'm getting, the more I'm looking at, there's so many agencies out there, and now there are individuals who, their reimbursement is done very, very differently from home care agencies, and home care agencies require a lot different documentation. So I was just kind of thinking that maybe in the future it'll take some work, maybe getting an agency to come in 1 month and then an individual in their take on the things, and possibly just kind of compare and contrast, and see if there's other stuff out there. I mean, I know CPAC takes care of a lot of the stuff for the kids that are in school, but that age out population, once they reach that 18 into 22 and then past that, I know that there's a lot of things that kind of fall by the wayside. So that's where I'm hoping to go with that.
All right. And Anne Marie, and I know you had a few people you reached out to before, but one of them, something happened, and I didn't know if there was anybody else that you were waiting to hear back from.
Yeah, so potentially there was someone for October. It's a music therapy program that's based out of Boston, but they actually have a location in Revere. I think it's maybe their only other location. So they did offer, this was back in August that I spoke with them. So I just recently followed up to see if they're still available. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Just
You're welcome.
just send an email to me and Pauline, and then we'll go from there. If you want, Pauline, too, if you want to reach out to Rachel or Terry from Universal, and then I'll have some updates about that after with them too, because I just received some information from them for their fall programs.
Yep.
We'll do that. I just received it about 2 hours ago. Also, on part of item 2 is the recap and discussions regarding the All Abilities Day Out at Revere Beach event that took place on August 17th. We got some great weather. It was great to see Anne Marie, Pauline, and Ellie was down there. I was happy that we got good weather. We did get some people there. We had people as far as where, Pauline, Montreal.
Yeah, there was a family from Montreal, and then a family from was either North or South Dakota. That they kind of happened into the whole aspect. But the boys, the 2 young men that I spoke with, one was high school, one was a college student, was kind of interested to see that the city was actually putting on a program where it's a state beach, but it's the city that was putting it on, and they were kind of interested to just see that whole working. So I had a lot of interesting interactions, and come to find out, the young man that I was talking with in the water was one of my students from Paul Revere.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
And he's a wonderful young man. He's at the high school. He's doing well, and it was really, really nice to reconnect with him and see him.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. We didn't get as many people as I thought, but it was okay for the first year, and we'll build on this for next year. And a lot of people are going to work with us to try and hopefully get the location that we really wanted. Because I think the location closer to the train station better for people to access it. but we may do what we had. And we want to put a shout out to the Revere Parks and Recreation Department that were tremendous in helping us with that event, with setting up and having some of their workers come down and assist with that day, which was a great help. But it was a great day and fun for all that came. We had a couple of women that came down and they haven't been able to get in the water. One said for over 35 years, and she was basically in tears that she got to go in on one of the accessible wheelchairs and was able to go into the water and sit in the water. So just being able to see that and experience that myself, that was well worth it just to see that. So I was happy, and now we'll work on that, and hopefully it will be bigger and better next year. So thank you for the two of you that came, and Allie that came down, and any suggestions for next year will be greatly appreciated. And if you have any feedback, I'm welcome to take it.
The people I spoke to were just thrilled to be able to get into the water. A woman that I spoke with hasn't been in for several years. She's a young woman, and she was just pleased to think that she could go spend time with her kids and her husband in the water and be safe and feel like there were enough people around who, if there was a problem, it wouldn't mushroom and snowball into anything else. So I think that was really important to make people feel safe.
Yeah. I also want to thank Chief Bright. He also had 2 fire personnel down, the emergency response people, for us for the whole day, which I was greatly appreciated for. And he made sure that the ambulances was nearby in case we needed to have them called to the scene. So that was also greatly appreciated. I almost forgot to thank them for that.
It was a nice event, a very, very pleasurable day. It just to see so many people happy in one location is really kind of a nice change of pace.
Yeah, the Universal Access Group, they do tremendous work. They were out west. They brought the accessible wheelchairs down, and just to see some of the city employees and the city councilmen, when they saw those, they were impressed with just seeing them. There's such a nice piece of mobility accessible equipment that can go into the water.
I think that helps all the way around too, Ralph, is that, you can talk about equipment, you can talk about, things that make accessibility so much easier for folks, but to actually see it and then see it in use and see the outcome from that, I think that does help complete that circle. So, maybe in the future we'll be fortunate enough to be able to purchase our own so that we have those things.
Well, DCR has 2 of them there now. They're stationed. Right. They're stations down by the Shirley Ave bathhouse, but I know that they will be looking to try and get more. And that's one thing that I was talking to Rachel from the Universal Access Group is what they are going to be working on is they need to be able to publicize that those are available and how people will be able to get them to use them while they're there. And they're also looking at getting more of those beach mats down on
I told that.
Yeah, so that would be great. It'd be great if you get at least 4 or 5 of those beach chairs that can go into the water for people with disabilities. More of those down to the beach. We have a large beach, and having 2 of them down there. You do need more, and you just need to make people be aware that they are there and how to be able to get them. So that would be tremendous. So yeah, I said, whatever we can do to publicize it, please reach out to us and we'll do whatever we can to help get the word out that they're available and how to get them. So maybe they need to put more signage up for it with like a phone number to call, because a lot of people don't use the internet. A lot of people still don't use the internet or don't have capability, but they will have a phone number to call or have a location there where they can call or an office there, or several offices, or somebody that they can reach out to that's at the DCR reservation that they can go up to and say, can I get a beach chair this day or whatever, and this way it's there ready for them.
Maybe they should look in putting a billboard on the MBTA
Yeah,
stations and on the buses and such. They say, everything's accessible by the blue line. Well, that's fine, but you say things are accessible. Well, what are those things? So, maybe be a communication between DCR and the MBTA.
right, definitely. All right, and if anybody else has any other comments before I move on to the next item?
Yeah, Ralph, just thank you for initiating it. It was really a nice day, and it wasn't the crowd you were expecting, but for the few people that were there, they were so very happy and having the best time. And like you said, if it just made one person happy for that day, it was all worth it. And I'm sure next year it will just be expanded upon. And I think it was a great start and a really, really nice day.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right now I'm just doing some final end work for the Save the Bay, Save the Harbor for the grant that I had. I'm just doing some final paperwork for them. They want some feedback, and then I have a Zoom meeting that anybody that was awarded the grants. There was 2 dates, and I just signed up for one of it so that I can give some feedback, and then hopefully next year I'll apply for the grant again and be able to get it again. If not, I'll find another way to pay for it. Okay. Item number 4 on the agenda is the CODA, Commission on Disabilities Alliance monthly Zoom meeting, which happened on Wednesday, September 4th. Unfortunately, at the time the meeting had to be posted, I didn't have the notes, but I do have I will read them off to you. And Pauline, you don't have to worry about writing this down because I will just add it. The CODA announced, there was one announcement that the formal legislative session ended in July, but lawmakers are still meeting on a few pieces of legislation. The long-term care bill, which was approved by both chambers, was just waiting on the governor signing. And this included the provision for estate recovery, and they're hopeful that this will pass. Also, DPC, who runs CODA, which is a Disability Policy Consortium, is in the process of hiring a new director and a new DHS ombudsman. A couple of topics that were raised before the discussion is a member from the Somerville Commission on Disability just brought up some questions and concerns about parking enforcement on private properties, which basically dealt with people parking in handicap spots that did not have placards and permits, and what the jurisdiction is for that. And that is private property is all dependent upon if the property allows the police to go on it, such as our police department in Revere is allowed to go down Northgate, which is private property, PJs, Stop and Shop, and things like that. So it all depends on what the local law enforcement has agreements with different private properties in different cities and towns. Another topic that came up is a member from the Boston Commission on Disabilities brought up that they are going to be having a civic engagement day on Tuesday, September 4th. They're going to have 2 different time slots. If anybody's interested, you could just reach out to the Boston Commission on Disabilities page to see the times and sign up for that. Unfortunately, the reason why I didn't have the notes ahead of time is because of a scheduling conflict. I could not make that meeting myself. I was actually at a meeting in Chelsea, so I could not make that meeting in the CODA monthly meeting in person. So I was just waiting for the director of DPC to get the notes to me, and I just relied on them for their notes. But hopefully that won't happen again, because I don't like missing the meetings because there's a lot that's discussed at those meetings. Item number 5 is CPAC, but I did not receive any new updates, but they're always looking for any and all interested parties to join them, either as a board member or volunteers or overall support. Anyone interested in getting more involved in CPAC Revere can send an email to cpacrevere@gmail.com. I'll call Julie Brown at 617-877-2653. Item number 6 is if any commission members have any late information or items, I'll open it up to any other member before I bring one up that I have.
Well, first question, Ralph, to your thing I wanted to ask. On the long-term care bill, what was the that coming through? What are they hoping to cover under that? Is that going to extend to Mass Health as well?
I believe so. I believe that was part of the long-term care bill. All I got for notes is the long-term care bill that was the bill that was up for proposal was approved by both chambers and was waiting for the governor.
So we don't know what they cover or what the purpose of it is or what
Yeah,
changes.
Whatever was originally proposed, it was approved as submitted. There was no amendments to it. I believe we discussed this at a few CODA meetings before, and I brought it as notes. I would have to look back because I may have detailed what exactly was in it.
Okay. That would be, that impacts folks, in certain care and certain facilities and other things. So I want to know more about that is, my care obviously has changed.
I believe what they were trying to do is making sure that because there was talk that things were going to get limited and what they were going to pay for. So that's why the bill was originally created and submitted. So nothing would be getting cut. But don't quote me on that. I would have to try and do some research on that and look into it.
Okay. Well, the other piece on this, folks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there is it. It includes a provision for estate recovery, and hopefully that will pass. I have that note also.
Oh, so good. Okay.
So that I have a note to that I was going to get to next.
Okay, perfect. And then
so that's a big part of it that I remember we talked about before, because a lot of people were worried about when they went into a long-term care facility that they would be able to go back so many years or whatever, or be able to attach their estates. So it includes provisions for estate recovery.
Okay, that's a good thing. And then there's the fact is the other thing I was going to mention, and this is just to everybody, and this is to people, especially with disabilities, but anybody, we're lucky to be citizens in this country, and so we should make sure we vote. That's coming up. I don't want anyone to miss that. There are accesses for that. I want to make sure we put that out there because, it's the one few things that we get, and not everybody gets that chance. I want to make sure we take it. And, the big thing too, I saw on the news, I was kind of disgusted, but I saw it happen at the high school to the assistant principal in Revere. So that was pretty sad. And I hope the kids hear me that they need to knock it off. We've had enough of seeing kids fight. So figure I might as well throw it out there. We're on TV, so.
Okay. Anyone else have anything that they want to discuss before I move to what I'm going to share? Let me share my screen. Hold on a second. Share screen. Okay. Can you see my screen coming through? Let me open it up to the front page. A lot of information. Let me get to the beginning of it. Can you see the page that says DCR's Universal Access Program?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the Universal Access Program by DCR. They are the entity that brought down the accessible wheelchairs to our program. They had just emailed me their fall program schedule. So I'm just going to quickly scroll through a few pages. They also I believe they also have their website on here that you can get, which is mass.gov/DCR.access. to find out about all their activities, and you can also sign up for their newsletter and for their fall calendar, spring calendar, summer calendar, and winter calendar. They do of a lot of programs. So I'm briefly going to go scroll through this. So you can it's not have to read it, just basically see the different programs that they have. Some of these are out west. They have the dates and whatnot. Some of them are free. Some of them have a cost associated to them. So I will just scroll through them quick. As you can see, it's 416, so there's 16 pages. Trying to see what's close. This one I think is pretty interesting. It's an adaptive cycling one, which is in Hadley, Mass. And I believe when I looked at this earlier, I think this one was, this was on a sliding scale from $5 to $20. That's with the trike and the wheelchair tandems, which is pretty reasonable for a price if you think about it. There's another view of those. That's a nice way to have a day out as a family. And then they have adaptive rowing in Holyoke. This one was the free event. And this was a program free of charge, open to people with disabilities and their families and friends. Of course, there's pre-registration required. As by appointments only. Trying to see what else is closer. Golfing with Para Golfers Association. This was in a couple of different locations, Weston and Canton. There's a couple of other golf programs. This one's community boating on the Charles River, May 1st to September 27th. Yep. Adaptive cycling golfing with Spalding Adaptive Sports Center, which is in Brewster. And then there is another golf program out in Western Mass. But please go to their website, which has a lot of great information. They have a lot of great programs. I know they do when the winter one comes out, they have a lot of programs at the skating rinks. I know they do run a program at the skating rink in East Boston, which is at it used to be called they call it Constitution Beach, but it used to be another name. I forget the name that used to be when I was a kid, but it's the one directly in front of the airport. So that's a great location. But please feel free to take a look at their website for a lot of these programs. A lot of people don't know that they run a lot of programs, adaptive programs, which is great. So there is something for people to do. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
What is the website?
Let me grab it for you again. I'll give you the right one because I have it there. It's mass.gov/DCR/access. I'll share that again quickly. There it is right there. Just the website, mass.gov/DCR/access. So they have 4 different season programs. Okay. Stop sharing that. So that was item number 6. Item number 7, residents' concerns and issues. I have not received any. Item number 8 is next steps. So our next steps is just we'll keep our usual updates from Pauline and Marie regarding calendars for future monthly guest speakers. Is there anything else? I don't think there was anything else. I just have to do some closeouts for Save the Bay, Save the Harbor, which is just something on my end. And anything else I'm forgetting, Pauline?
No, I don't believe so.
And Marie, I forget anything?
Nope, I think you've covered it all.
Okay. And then we will have item number 9, if Vice Chair Perno, if you would be so kind as to read that.
I would love to. The Commission on Disabilities office number is 781-286-8267. Residents can also call Revere 311 direct and speak to the staff members Monday through Friday. They will answer most questions, but if they are unable to, or if you wish to speak to one of the departments directly, ask to be transferred to the disability office. Please leave a detailed message and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. As always, please tell us if you want something discussed or added to our monthly meeting agenda. You can let us know if you would like to speak on any issue or concern. The Commission is here to help and assist all of the disabled residents and families of Revere.
Okay. Our next meeting via Zoom will be Tuesday, October 8th at 6 p.m. If I could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Pauline and second by Mario. Okay, well, I just want to thank you. I know it was a little bit longer of a meeting tonight, but we had some good information that was brought to us by Karen. Like I said, if anybody wants the flyer or the slides, just please send me an email and I will be more than happy to send that to you.
Right.
But thank you and have a great night and a great rest of your